Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Did Erich pull a Jed? He is Gabby's finalist from this current season of The Bachelorette. There's going to be a couple spoilers as far as how his journey ends on the show. Although I'm going to tell you guys right now, nobody truly knows how it ends. So if you want the spoilers as far as we know it, we'll be getting into that in a couple minutes. The question of did he pull a Jed being the term for having a girl back home while you go on a show, find love, and then that girl back home, or lady back home, I should say, comes back and is scorned and tells her side of the story. Well, not exactly. It's adjacent. It's a little different. But these are her real text messages and his real text messages. And it's pretty wild stuff. I have to tell you, today may be the wildest day of Bachelor Nation coverage I've ever been a part of, and it's just beginning. It's about 5 a.m. here, West Coast time. I'm getting started early. You guys know I've been under the weather, super sick earlier this week, feeling a little bit better. I've got to go take my dog to get a bunch of vaccines because he's going to be attending a new boarding school while we're away at our wedding next month. So I have a lot of content to make before Boone goes and gets his shots. But I ask you this favor, please, of all days, let's be as kind and graceful in the comment section. Let's be as understanding, because there's a lot to get to. There are cheating scandals amongst other contestants. There's this Erich Gabby storyline. There's a ton of other stuff to get to, so we're going to get all into it. I'm on Instagram at DNeals. I have a stand-up show tonight in Monrovia, California. I'll post about that over there, and I'll also be on Patreon later today, patreon.com/Dave Neal, if you want behind-the-scenes content. I will be sharing additional information regarding this story on Patreon that we're not ready to pull a trigger and share yet over here. So we're going to get into this. Today's teacher of the day is Miss Pitson in Virginia. She moved from first grade to fifth grade teaching this year, so that means she has to redo a lot of her tools and supplies and things she needs. So if you want to help her, she's got some books she needs to buy. For as little as $9, you can buy Where the Red Fern Grows. She needs 5 copies of that, and other things to help her and encourage her teaching. Oh, look, and she's got nice comments over there. What a nice teacher. So anyway, if we could help out Miss Pitson, show her what the Bachelor community is all about, I'd appreciate that so much. So Bachelor Nation Scoop posted this yesterday on her private membership. I refused to share this without her permission. She then made it public because the vacuously immoral people of Bachelor Reddit said, I paid $5 so you guys don't have to. That's not how it works, right? I didn't want to violate her paywall, but after it became public, she decided just to share this with everybody. And yes, I do think that is a wrong thing for people to share this when it was explicitly posted behind a paywall. But either way, if you want to help Bachelor Nation scoop out, for $5 a month, you can join. There's a one-time, one monthly donation or ongoing and be a part of her membership program. It helps content creators make money, especially on Instagram. They don't make a dang thing from Instagram. Statement from Erich's ex, screenshots to follow. Posting it here first because I will put a sticker box after for you to share your thoughts on what you think about it. Please don't post elsewhere. It's copyright, and of course, immediately someone posted elsewhere. All right, here's what Erich's ex had to say. I'm going to share this, then I'm going to share the screen grabs, then I'm going to share Reality Steve and what he had to say after speaking with Erich's ex. Here's what Erich's ex had to say. After long debating ever telling anyone about my chapter with Erich, I've decided to. He recently posted a well-deserved apology for an unacceptable decision he made to Instagram. That being the blackface that came out from a photo in 2011 in his high school yearbook. It took me back to another apology he made that I received from him this summer. This is in no way me comparing his inexcusable actions, but rather to help shine light on his true character. When Erich and I had begun dating, it was quite the whirlwind romance. We were head over heels for each other, happiest I'd felt in a while. After a few months of amazing dates, adventures, countless sleepovers, I thought I had found my person. Erich had lost his job during this time, and I could tell it weighed heavy on him, and I tried to be there for him as he prepares for his interviews for new jobs. One morning after a normal night together, I got a text after he left my place on March 10th, making jokes and telling me he got some news he wanted to talk to me about. I called him immediately. He told me that he got a call and was offered to be a contestant on The Bachelorette, and I was in shock. He would even consider this kind of gig while we were dating. He insisted that it was all acting and it would be as if he was just going out of town for a few weeks. He wanted a fresh start and a new career path because he was unhappy with his. I knew that this wasn't a reality show I could handle, just waiting for him on the other side. I made it clear that was something I would not be okay with, and he said he needed to think about what to do because it could open a lot of doors. I texted him after letting him know that if this was the decision he was making, best of luck, but I stand by my decision to not stay. I've attached the following screenshots of conversations that were had following this call. I mourned our relationship. I cried a ton and began a process that there was something better out there for me. Texts were still being exchanged between us about how sad we were to lose each other, but I knew I needed to move on. 10 days later, March 22nd, I received 24 roses at my door from Erich with a note saying, "I'll never stop thinking about you." The text followed those roses are also attached, but in short, he says he went back home to think about everything, couldn't stop thinking about me, and wanted to know if we could talk when he returned to LA. I decided to sleep on this because my heart was broken, but the next morning, the sucker I agreed to meeting with him and texted him back. Little did I know he had already returned and left to film the show, so my text went green. It was hard to process that he could reopen a wound just to make the same choice, leaving me heartbroken once again. Once again, I mourned, healed, and moved on. I received a text from him July 10th as the show began to air, telling me how terrible what he did to me was and how sorry he was, that he thinks about me all the time and won't ever forgive himself. Our chapter was over for me long before this, and I saw this as a sad attempt to save himself from anything to harm his newfound fame and reputation. I don't believe Erich had any good intention going on the show, and I don't believe anything to have changed. He wanted the clout, and he got it. I just hope he doesn't continue to hurt anyone on this new path he is on. And initially, she kept her name out of this, but then after speaking with Reality Steve, and after her name coming out, I think she gave him permission to share her name, and she is named Amanda. So here's Amanda. This is her last photo she posted yesterday, and she, I believe, is a single mom. I believe she's a single mom, and we're going to get into her actual screen grabs here that she had. BachelorNation.scoop posted them on our public Instagram here. So he is in gray, and she is in blue. He said, "I woke up with Oreo cream in my ear." She said, "Lies." He says, "No, like a lot of Oreo cream." I was really confused for a second. I didn't know what was happening. She said, "Guess no more Oreos is bed for mama." He said, "Made me laugh. I got some news this morning that I need to talk to you about." She said, "What?" And then she said, "Not sure how you expected me to feel, but if that's your decision." Okay, so he texts her, she calls, so these receipts back that up. And then, of course, she says, "Best of luck," and then she sends a wilted rose. He says, "I know this isn't ideal. I wanted to do this to see if there was something else I could do with my life. I really like you, Amanda. I didn't think it would be a big deal, but I understand how you feel." Well, it's kind of like this, and I'm not saying that this is different than the Jed situation, in that Jed had told someone he loved them, and the person thought that they were together and they loved each other. The L word, the big L word, wasn't used here, but of course, they were dating for a few months. We'll get into Reality Steve's sort of recap of how she felt emotionally about all of this in a second, but let's just get through these receipts. He said, "I didn't think it would be a big deal, but I understand how you feel. I'm sorry, and I understand if you don't want to see me anymore." She said, "You just expect me to continue dating you while you go on a reality TV show to quote-unquote find love?" Here's where it gets a little damning. He says, "It isn't real, but you're right. I am sorry. I really didn't think this all through." Now, I bet you half the contestants don't think it's real, but they still go on saying, "Hey, whatever, I'll get some clout. Maybe I'll find love." Either way, that's one of those like secrets that people don't say out loud, you know? She said, "So you dropped something real for something fake. Got it." He said, "I didn't realize the implications. I am sorry. I thought we could get on the same page about this. I really didn't mean for this to hurt you." And she said, "Well, I'm heartbroken. Really hope you get all the fame and business opportunities you are looking for. Fingers crossed." And then he said, "I am not well, Amanda. You make me happy, but I am deeply unhappy with myself. You are better off without me in the long run. Trust me." And then she posts a thumbs down to that. She says, "You don't get to tell me what I'm better off without. We are all unhappy with ourselves, but we have the choice to choose someone who makes us a better version of ourselves." And then he says, "You are right, and I agree with you, but I don't think I can be that for you. Not until I figure out who I am. Not that this is the Not until I figure out who I am. Not that this is the answer, but I need a change. I'm stuck in my career path and I'm miserable with it. I don't want this to be the rest of my life. She said, this is so shitty. He said, I hate this. She said, me too so much. He said, I am so sorry. And then she said to my heart, he said, I hope you have an amazing weekend. And then she posted WYD, which I think means, what are you doing? And then he said, trying to gamble you. She says, I'm sad. He said, me too. She said, are you? He says, I feel like a piece of shit. She says, as you should. Unfortunately, I really care about you, like a little too much, I guess. He said, maybe I am a piece of shit than making a mistake. And then again, this is March 12th, probably a week before he leaves for the show. She says, maybe I shouldn't have said anything last night. I've just been super bummed out, but I get that you made your decision. And even though it hurts, I need to move on. It's just really hard to go from being so happy to this overnight. But I hope you have a good rest of your weekend and know that I really enjoyed the time we spent together. Wow, that's a very rational and graceful way for her to kind of end things. He says, I hope you can forgive me someday. I made a selfish decision that ended something really special. You are a really amazing person, and I love everything about you. You deserve the best. I am the saddest. I hate to play with your emotions. I just went home for a while and I couldn't stop thinking about you, and I wanted to send you flowers to maybe make you smile. She said, why are you doing this? He said, I made a rash decision that was beyond selfish. Can we talk when I am back in LA? I needed to go home for a little to be with my parents. And then she responds to that. Hold on. Do we have what day he sent that? He sent that on Tuesday, March 22nd. She responds the next morning and says, yeah, we can. Just let me know when you are back. And this is when it gets brutal. That's when his phone's turned off because he's now on The Bachelorette, and her text message goes to green, which means it wasn't received, it wasn't connected. And then later that day, she posts a question mark. And then March, April, May, June, July, 4 months later, he posts, I am so sorry, Amanda. And this is after, and spoiler alert, this is after he's allegedly engaged to Gabby. He says, I am so sorry, Amanda. What I did was terrible. I don't expect you to ever forgive me. I just want you to know I think about you all the time, and you really deserve the best. I won't ever forgive myself. I hope to find happiness in everything you deserve. And again, that may be him saving face at the end, and he could also feel that. You know, people do horrible, shitty, selfish things and then feel remorse afterwards. Absolutely. Along with that remorse comes the PR aspect that says this was a terrible way to go about it. What would have probably been better is this. And it's hindsight's 2020. What would probably have been better is if Erich said, look, it says something like this. Look, this relationship's not everything for me, and I'm going to go on this show to find something better. I know I'm leaving something good, but in hopes of finding my true one and only. And then it's a clean break. But instead, he kind of said, I'm going to go on the show, but it's not that real. So I feel like maybe we can work something out, and does that whole thing. And she's like, no, not on my playbook. So Reality Steve actually talked to her. And you know what? Okay, so here's the deal. I'm running pretty late on time here, so I'm going to save that for the next video. I'm going to make a follow-up video right after this. Again, like I said, we're going to have tons of content all day long. So do me a favor and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure your alerts are turned on. I'll have an update to this based off what Reality Steve had to say following these receipts. But I didn't want to wash over this and summarize it all. I wanted you to hear every single piece of receipt and evidence that we have here. And also, like I said, we need to just leave space from the actual, like, let's operate like we're at the museum. We're looking at it. We don't need to be DMing Erich. We don't need to be DMing Gabby. For all we know, they might be in a happy relationship and they have some incredible conversations that need to be had. Let's just take a step back and analyze this sort of from the outside looking in. And if anything, give a ton of grace, love, and positive energy to Amanda right here, who, obviously had to go through something in, as a single mom, not that anyone should go through it, but as a single mom probably faces enough adversity out there. So wishing her the best and hope she feels a little bit better about telling her story. What do you guys think? Do you think this is just reopening dead wounds, or do you think this is exposing someone in warning, like a woman warning other women? I'd love to know your thoughts about this. Feel free to call the voicemail line if you want regarding this topic. If you have any strong opinions, 401-213-9828. We also have a Tino and Rachel update coming coming to you guys in a little bit. Let me just say, the fact that Gabby and Rachel are both bachelorettes in their finales air in 5 days, and the fact that both have stories coming out that would be once in a lifetime Bachelorette stories as far as drama is concerned is a real blow for the integrity of the show. We'll have more on this story coming up on Erich Gate as it transpires. We'll talk to y'all in a little bit. Don't forget, if you want to do any good today, leave a donation to our Teacher of the Day, and the link for that is in the pinned comment section. We'll see you in a little bit. A lot of content today. Bye, guys.